Thank you, Bruce and Cheryl. A couple of weeks ago, early one morning, my wife was getting ready for the day, and she decided to do some Pilates. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Pilates. How many of you know about Pilates, or you've done it, or you've seen it done? You know about that? Okay, Pilates, for those of you who don't know, it's a special kind of exercise, and it focuses on developing what they call your core muscles. And the experts seem to all agree that it's very important to develop these core muscles, that it helps us in our overall strength and our health. And she has this video with a series of 10-minute workout sessions. And she was going to do one of these 10-minute workout sessions, at which time I began to make fun of the workout video. I was like, oh my goodness, a 10-minute workout video. Man, why don't they just call that the worthless workout video? Or maybe they could call it the waste of time workout or something like that. And then she invited me to join her for her workout video, and I agreed to do so. Gentlemen, if your wife ever extends such an invitation to you, be very sure that you're very busy doing something else. And then politely decline said invitation. Before I was 60 seconds into the workout, I was shocked and dismayed to discover that apparently God had neglected to give me any core muscles. Well, actually, to be fair to God, I'm sure that he gave all of us some core muscles, but it is now my firm conviction that he never intended for us to use them, at least not on a regular basis. Now, I agree that your core muscles are very important, and that's why I choose to protect mine. Okay, it's kind of like fine china, right? It's nice, but you don't use it every day. Right? You protect them and you bring it out for special occasions, rare events. Well, when it was finally over, my wife explained to me that was kind of a warm-up session, and that there's another segment that works on your abdominals that's much more challenging, and would I like to join her for that one as well? Unfortunately, I did not have time, as I really had to get to work right away. Now, being the magnanimous person that I am, I no longer make fun of my wife's workout videos, because I realize that we're all in different levels of physical fitness, and I certainly wouldn't want someone to, make fun of me if I had a pathetic shape. Well, the Bible is really clear about this, that pride has a price. There is a price for pride. And perhaps the most famous place that it says this is in Proverbs chapter 16. And I'm sure you've heard this quote, or you've heard a version of it. Proverbs 16:18. It says, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. And this is evident. We can see this, and we can trace it all the way through Scripture. We can go all the way back to the very beginning. Do you remember the very beginning? What was the very first sin? And that's a trick question, because it wasn't Adam, nor was it Eve. It was Satan. And we're given insight into what happened in Isaiah 14. We're told that Satan believed that he was better than all the other angels. In fact, he thought he was even equal with God himself. And so he was thrown out of heaven. He was cast down to the earth, where he is currently imprisoned, awaiting his final and ultimate doom in the lake of fire. His pride literally led to his downfall. And then there's, of course, Adam and Eve. Genesis chapter 3. They wanted to be like God, knowing both good and evil. They thought they knew better than God, so they ignored his warning, his prohibition against eating the forbidden fruit. And we know what happened. They and all their descendants were thrown out of the garden and cut off from relationship with God. And we often refer to that incident as the fall. Pride goeth before a fall. And we can trace this throughout the Bible. A very famous example in Daniel chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar arrogantly claimed that all of his successes were his alone, and that the entire kingdom existed for the sole purpose of glorifying him. So God humbled him. He lost his throne, his friends, his home, and even his mind. And he was left to crawl around on the ground, and he ate grass for 7 years. And then you trace it all the way into the New Testament. Things hadn't changed. By the time the disciples came, we're told on multiple occasions the disciples were often arguing and bickering about which one of them was greater, who was going to be the greatest in the kingdom. Pride, I contend, is the root of all other sin. Pride is the mother that gives birth to all other sins, and it's been that way from the beginning. Now, pride can manifest itself in many different ways, often subtle ways, but it can come in many different ways. But the core essence of pride, I believe, is this. The essence of pride is, I am first. I am first. It's an attitude which says, my needs, my wants, my desires trump yours. Wherever I go, I am the most important person in the room. The essence of pride. And pride has consequences. As we said, pride has a price. And sometimes that price is far more expensive than a few sore abdominal muscles. That pride can damage our relationships. It can cause us to lose a job. We can injure our bodies. We can destroy our marriages. We can go into debt, alienate friends, ruin our health, hurt our children. And worst of all, we can hurt God's heart. And if we're Christians, damage his reputation as well. So the Bible is clear that pride has a price. Proverbs 29, a man's pride brings him low. James 4, God opposes the proud. Luke 18, for everyone who exalts himself will be humbled. But the Bible is also clear that honor comes from humility. Humility can lead to honor. Again, Proverbs 29, a man of lowly spirit gains honor. James 4, humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Luke 18, he who humbles himself will be exalted. If we return to Nebuchadnezzar as our example, he finally humbled himself before God, and God then did restore both his sanity and his throne. Someone once said, and I think said well, your job is to humble yourself. God's job is to exalt you. But if you do God's job, he will do your job. And that's what today's story is all about. When we find Jesus in the story in Luke chapter 14, we jump right into the middle of the story. So the setting is this. It's Saturday. It's the Sabbath. Jesus hasn't been invited to a dinner party at the home of a prominent Pharisee. And so the other dinner guests are mostly Pharisees as well. High-ranking, powerful men in their culture. And when Jesus gets to the party, he notices two things in particular. Number one, only those of high social standing have been invited. And number two, these men of high social standing are all jockeying for position to try to take the seats of honor at the meal.